Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting topic. It's all about honoring our fathers.
Yeah.
We've got some source material here that's coming at it from a faith-based perspective.
Okay.
But you know what? Even if you're not particularly religious, stick with us.
Right.
Because the core ideas here are surprisingly universal.
Okay.
We're going to be exploring this whole idea that truly honoring your father doesn't always mean following in his exact footsteps.
Hmm.
In fact, sometimes true honor might require us to, forge our own path.
It's like that old saying, monkey see, monkey do, but the monkey never becomes the zookeeper.
Ooh.
The source really highlights this paradox of honoring versus imitating,
Yeah,
even using, a biblical lens to drive home the point.
I like that zookeeper analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So help me understand this better. Like, the source mentions that it's natural for us to look up to our fathers,
Yeah.
especially early in life.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
is that?
Well, think about it. Family is our first experience with the world. Right. And within that structure, the father often represents authority and guidance.
Okay.
He becomes the model for how we see and interact with everything around us.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's like our brains are kind of wired to follow their lead.
Right.
But then the source throws us a curveball,
Okay.
claiming that sometimes holding on to traditions can actually dishonor a father.
Uh-huh.
How can that be?
That's where things get interesting.
Okay.
This idea of honoring versus imitating really comes into play here.
Okay.
The source argues that blindly following tradition, especially if it's harmful,
Yeah.
can be a form of stagnation.
Hmm.
They even give this powerful example from the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus rebuked the Pharisees.
Yeah.
These were very influential religious leaders of the time
Got it.
for prioritizing their rigid traditions
Yeah.
over the true spirit of God's word.
So even though they thought they were, like, being righteous by following all the rules,
Right.
Jesus was basically saying they were missing the point.
Exactly. And that's the key takeaway here.
Yeah.
True honor involves being able to discern which traditions are worth preserving and which ones need to be challenged for the sake of growth.
I see. So it's not just about doing things the way Dad always did them.
Right.
It's about understanding the why behind his actions.
Yeah.
And choosing what parts of his legacy are worth carrying forward.
Exactly.
But how do we actually apply that to our lives?
Yeah.
Like, the source does mention some pretty specific examples, right?
Absolutely. It gets pretty real talking about things like alcoholism abuse
Wow.
and other negative patterns that might have been present in our father's lives.
Right.
The source challenges us to break those cycles,
Yeah.
to not just strive for better, but to actively correct those past wrongs.
That's a heavy responsibility.
It is.
But I can see how, breaking free from those patterns could be seen as a way of honoring our fathers.
Right.
Even if it feels like we're going against everything they stood for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, the source encourages us to recognize our father's positive qualities. Things like diligence, hard work, integrity,
Yeah.
and find ways to amplify them in our own lives.
Hmm.
The idea is that by consciously choosing to embody those virtues,
Yeah.
we're honoring their legacy
Yeah.
in a way that transcends simply mimicking their actions.
So it's about becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Right.
Inspired by both the good and the bad that we've inherited from our dads.
Precisely.
That-
And the source ties this back to the core idea of honor by quoting Deuteronomy 5.1c. Honor your father and your mother as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live long and that it may go well with you.
So even though this deep dive started with a faith-based perspective,
Right.
it's really hitting on something universal.
Yes.
We honor our fathers not just for their sake, but for our own well-being.
Right.
It's about shaping a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That a concept as simple as honoring your father can hold so much complexity and nuance.
It really can.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, the source does tease this idea of a better model for us to look to.
Yeah, I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah.
It seems like we've already covered so much ground, but I'm really curious to hear what they mean by a better model,
Okay.
especially in the context of fatherhood.
We'll get ready for a thought-provoking twist.
Oh.
The source actually points to Christ as the ideal model even for fatherhood.
Hold on. Comparing any father to Christ, that feels like a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ is often seen as this perfect divine being.
Right.
How can any earthly father even come close?
You're right to question that. It's a bold statement for sure.
Yeah.
But if we look beyond the, religious context,
Okay.
what the source is really getting at is the essence of what Christ represents.
Okay.
Unconditional love, sacrifice, guidance.
Right.
These are qualities that, in a sense, transcend any specific religious belief.
So it's not about literally being Christ, but rather about embodying those core values that he exemplified.
Exactly, and the source emphasizes this idea of Christ as a shepherd
Wow.
who, according to John 17.3, lost none of those entrusted to him.
Yeah.
It's a powerful metaphor for the kind of protective, nurturing spirit
Yeah.
that we often associate with good fathers.
I see that.
Yeah.
So it's about striving to be that steady, reliable presence
Right.
in the lives of those who depend on us,
Yeah.
just like a good shepherd cares for their flock.
It is, and the source suggests that aligning ourselves with those qualities,
Okay.
compassion, the selflessness, the unwavering commitment to the well-being of others,
Yeah.
would make any father proud, regardless of their beliefs.
It's almost like the source is encouraging us to see the best in our fathers,
Mm-hmm.
even if they weren't perfect,
Yeah.
and then use that as a springboard to become even better ourselves.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Wow.
It's not about erasing the past or pretending our fathers were flawless, but about recognizing that even in their imperfections, there were valuable lessons to be learned.
Right.
And a foundation upon which we can build something even greater.
I'm thinking about my own dad now. He had this incredible work ethic,
Yeah.
always believed in doing things the right way, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see how that's influenced me.
Yeah.
But this deep dive is making me realize that maybe it's not just about working hard,
Right.
but about working hard with a purpose,
Yeah.
with that same kind of selfless dedication that Christ demonstrated.
What's fascinating here is how the source manages to connect these seemingly disparate ideas,
Yeah.
fatherhood, tradition, and Christ's teachings,
Right.
into a cohesive framework for personal growth.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Good.
It's not just about remembering Dad or following his traditions. It's about using his legacy, both the good and the bad,
Yeah.
as a catalyst to become the best version of myself.
And that, I think, is the true essence of honor.
Yeah.
Not blind imitation,
Right.
but a conscious choice to learn, grow, and evolve
Yeah.
in a way that makes both our past and our future something to be proud of.
It's pretty amazing how we started out talking about honoring our fathers
Yeah.
and ended up exploring all these different ways that we can
Right.
become better people ourselves.
It's true. The source doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
No, it
It
doesn't.
really makes us confront those complicated family dynamics
Yeah.
and figure out how to grow while still respecting the past.
I think that's what makes this whole conversation so powerful.
Right.
Instead of giving us, like, easy answers,
Yeah.
it pushes us to really wrestle with what it means to honor our fathers
Exactly.
in a way that feels, I don't know, more authentic and transformative.
It's about making those connections,
Yeah.
Seeing how something as simple as honor your father and mother can really impact our whole lives.
Like peeling back layers of an onion.
Yeah.
The more we dig into this idea of honor, the more complex it becomes.
And that's where the source leaves us with this final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
It asks, if Christ is the ultimate model for fatherhood, what aspects of his character might be most important to cultivate in your own life to honor your father?
That is a powerful question.
It is.
It's like a challenge to take everything we've talked about today
Right.
and actually put it into practice.
Exactly. It's an invitation to move beyond just remembering our fathers or following their traditions.
Yeah.
It's about embodying those qualities that would make them truly proud.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
what does this all mean for your own relationship with your father?
Right.
Maybe it's time to think about his strengths, his weaknesses,
Yeah.
and how you can honor his legacy by becoming the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
That's so important.
We all have fathers.
Right.
And we all struggle with how to honor them.
It's a universal thing.
It is. But by embracing the challenges,
Yeah.
by seeking growth, and reaching for a higher ideal,
Yeah.
we can create a legacy that goes beyond our own families and impacts the world around us.
I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
I agree.
It's been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.